What up, everybody? We about to get this Beefy Boys episode rolling again. Talking about everything UFC Fight Night, Muhammad versus Luque, and we're finally to the main card. It was, not my favorite prelims, but it still give us plenty to talk about. If you haven't already, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give a couple of videos some thumbs up. Leave a couple of comments on the videos. All that type of stuff really helps us out. And here's Harrison right here, my partner in crime, and we're going to get this episode started.
Howdy.
Howdy, bro, man. We got episode 84 of the Beefy Boys breakdown here, and we're talking everything UFC Fight Night, Muhammad versus Luque. Big fight in the welterweight division. Very important. And then also, man, some young studs on this main card. This was the classic example of a main card that I was not stoked for on paper, but actually delivered. I've been kind of knocking the card as a whole. I'm not going to walk back my comments about the prelims, but the main card, I'll give a little. I'll cut some slack in my revisionist history too. I think this card will actually age pretty well with some of these guys. I think a lot of these guys will have pretty dope futures in the UFC.
Yeah, I actually can't wait to get into it. So let's dive into it because I actually love a lot of these fighters, to be quite honest with you. Like just personality or fight style. Or the co-main event, I had no idea about either of these guys. I came away liking one of them for different reasons than fighting. But he is a great fighter, it looks like, but also I like him for different reasons. But like him as a joke. Anyway, the welterweight division, 170, we have Ange Losa, plus 165, fighting Munir Lazzez, minus 195. Lazzez, I'm high on Lazzez, man.
He's fucking good, man. Me too. And
I think he's got a really good skill set.
Exactly, man. No, I feel you, man. And this fight was all Lazzez. And I mean, all you can say for Lucy, he can take a shot. He kept walking forward, and he was throwing hard back and would occasionally land. But Lazzez was always in control of this one. It was at his range. It was at his tempo. He was doing whatever he wanted to in there for the most part. I mean, like I said, he was dealing with a guy who was coming forward and swinging hard and taking shots, but I think that was like built into the game plan of Lazzez, you know what I mean? And he fought accordingly.
Yeah, I thought Losa, you could make an argument for him to win round 3, I thought, perhaps, but then he got rocked at the very end and essentially faded away the last round of Lazzez again. And I thought that was kind of the story of this fight, was that he would fight close, but Lazzez was just always just getting the better moments, the better step, the extra punch on the combo, whatever you want to call it. Lazzez was just a little more crispy tonight. And I think I want to see Losa going forward because I think he's got a good skill set, and because I think Lazzez is so good.
Yeah, and also he seems like he's pretty small for the welterweight division, which is weird. I think the welterweight division's just gotten like bigger, and there are some welterweights like Colby Covington.
Colby's small.
Exactly. So it's not like he's too small, but especially he looked tiny in there against Lazzez, and now Lazzez is a big welterweight, so you got to factor that all in for what it's worth. But I feel
or as Colby would say, he's just not on the sauce like everyone else.
Maybe a fair point.
Like all these other fucking nerds and virgins.
Potentially onto something there, Colby. But as you said, round 3 was Lusa's best round. He didn't do quite enough to win the round, but he looked much better. And the fact that you can get beat up for 2 rounds and then come out and have your 3rd round be your best round, I think it says a lot about what Lusa's made of. You know what I mean? I think he's made of the right stuff, and I think he wanted it. He was fighting hard and he was competing. But yeah, Lazzez was just on another level, like technique-wise and understanding-wise.
No, for me, my takeaway is that I think Lazzez, let me see these rankings, just see if the top 15 make any sense for him, because I think he's getting close.
Yeah, I think he's getting close, potentially.
I don't think he's at those guys yet.
No, not Rakhmonov. Rakhmonov's 15, right?
Right, and then Ponzinibbio and Jing Liang are the other 2 ahead of him. And Magny, I think Magny Rakhmonov is going to be signed. I think that is signed.
Stoked for that. I mean, we always throw out Ponzinibbio and Jeff Neal and these guys. Sure, you could. Now, will they or should they? I'm not going to go that far, but they could match him up with those guys if they really want to see where he's at. But actually, you know what? I think Ponzinibbio got booked against Michel Pereira.
I just want to ask you this real fast now looking at it. Did you see that they've only dropped Burns to 4 and haven't raised Luque or Muhammad, obviously, yet? But that means Burns is probably going to fight Muhammad next. or Luque, whoever would be the winner of that fight. Like, I'm just saying, him being 4
and I'm
five,
here for that.
because I thought he'd get dropped behind them. We talked about he'd go to 6 and they'd be 4 and 5.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think
Because Hamzat's 3, Leon's 2, Colby's 1, just like we talked about.
We'll get to all that after the main event for sure. But I feel you, it is relevant because Lizez is in the same weight class. I feel you. But don't want to spoil too much stuff. And I want to legitimately dive into the top end of the welterweight division, not just in passing. But as far as Lizez, hey, I think he's skill set. Like, as far as, like, could he protect himself against the top guys? Like, would it be, like, irresponsible to book him against, like, a Ponzinibbio or a Jeff Neal? I'd say no. I don't think they will. I don't think they should.
No, I think he needs one more good name fight, and then he can maybe get that rush, that push.
Exactly, man. But either way, the fact that we're asking that question and we're talking about those type of topics, I think it just shows what we
good things from Manila Zez.
Exactly.
Very good things. We're only good things from, like, we might be on the hype train. Very slow. Not a lot of coal.
It's not often I do like a cross-gender like comparison of who a fighter reminds me of. But you know who Lizez reminds me of, both in like potential and like actual style, is Manon Fiorot.
Oh yeah, just crispy strikes, long, good footwork, long, knows how to pace themselves, and like good striking defense. So when they eat a significant shot, it's not as significant as the ones they land.
Yeah, man, it's super random. Don't do it often, but for some reason this guy reminds me of Manon Fiorot, and that's not like a diss or anything. I respect women's mixed martial arts, and that's the way I can say that and it be a compliment. You know what I mean?
Thought you were going elsewhere with that whenever you said cross genders, but
no, not talking any swimming this week on the breakdown. But
yeah, University of Penn, my favorite.
But and also Gilbert Burns. Speaking of Gilbert Burns, in Lizez's corner. One of his like corners.
Yes, yeah.
Very interesting.
Which you could tell from some of the strikes Lizez would throw with that left hook, man. Or the right hook, I believe.
Look familiar a little bit?
Yeah, looked a little Gilbert Burns-ish.
For sure.
I'm sure they practice together, which is dope. Yeah, I like
Burns,
that.
Man. Like, I love that he's like involved with like the next generation. I mean, I think in Luque's corner too. I love that. I don't know. I like so much stuff about Gilbert Burns, man. But we already got into that last week. But
so I kind of want to dive into the next fight though, because this is one of those fights.
Lizez does win 30-27 unanimous. Just to put a nice bow on that, wrap it up, keep it pushing. Lizez, he minus 195 favorite. Unanimous decision, was in full control, great performance. I said, I don't know what's next for him, but something good and something better, and he's inching in the right direction. But yes,
absolutely. Oh, I just wanted to say, this next fight, I had a lot of fun watching. Like, I very much enjoyed the fight, but it has no implication to me. Maybe a little, but 45 is so deep that this is going to unfortunately just be kind of a wash, even for a main card fight, in my opinion.
See, I disagree, and I can't wait to get into that because I have a little.
All right, perfect. Perfect. So the guys we're talking about here are 145 versus featherweights. TJ Laramie plus 385 versus Pat Sabatini minus 525. So I guess, from Vegas' perspective, this should just be a murdering. This fight opened at, I believe, like minus 230. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, they absolutely know who is supposed to win this fight. Like, Vegas knew something we didn't. So I immediately got nervous and was like, man, I don't think that Laramie wins this fight. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like a crazy. Now, all that being said, I say all that to say that he got a nice early takedown.
Yeah.
And if he could have not been dropped by a body kick, he would have won the first very clearly. I thought Sabatini hitting him with the liver shot and then the big head kick to drop him and then the damage essentially got Sabatini in the round, which was really important in that moment.
Honestly, I guess maybe this is a hot take. I had round one super, super close. I actually gave it to Laramie. Because not only did he get the takedown, he reversed Sabatini's guillotine, and then when he was taking that, he got up super fast. No, you said Sabatini got his own takedown. He landed really hard, and he dropped him with a body kick. I guess it's just the way Laramie recovered from the body kick. I don't know. Super close round. I had it pretty much like a coin flip round, and my coin landed on Laramie. I'm not dying.
I'm not even mad at it. Like I literally thought it was like I'm saying like Laramie won the round until that point. If you didn't like It just depends on how you. It literally depends on the coin. Like I swear, like I understand.
Okay.
Like I get exactly how you're saying it. Like as much as Sabatini did in his little instant, Laramie did as much in the majority of the round because he controlled the majority of the round. I felt like, but
Yeah,
Sabatini was
exactly.
more impactful in his small moments. So it's literally just how you see it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
coin flip. I think that's the best way to say it, which is rare that I would agree with coin flip being the right description, but it absolutely was, man. Like
Yeah,
it
close
really
first
was.
round.
Like that's that's rare in fighting. Like we almost always have a winner to a round, but that's a real coin flip round.
Well,
Anyway,
especially whenever one guy's minus 525. Like, you know, you're not
I
supposed to
think that
factor
plays
that
into it.
in.
Yeah, like I
But
was surprised by Laramie being
yeah,
as effective as he was. Like
me
that's why
too.
it's such a big note to me that it was an even round.
100%. Couldn't agree more. On to round two, which also gets interesting. How'd you score round two? Because there's a couple ways you score it.
So round two. Oh, I see what you mean by Cowboys scoring.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, Sabatini started beating the hell out of TJ Laramie.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess you could argue it's a 10-9, but I think that's a 10-8 all day, every day.
I gave it
I
a
think,
10-8. I gave it a 10-8.
I think that's like you see a 10-8 in a store and it's on the wall. That's a discount 10-8. That's easy.
No, that's 10-8. Yeah, no, I feel you because the ground and pound was big and gnarly. There was 3.5 minutes of control. You know, it was a dominant round.
Which, I mean,
Oh yeah, there was
Sabatini needed it, man.
the total strike numbers were over 50 to
I
1.
think it was 56-1 at the end of the round.
Yeah. So I mean, if that's not a 10-8, I mean, I
Like it's damn near 10-7.
yeah,
We don't
bro.
give
So,
those, but it's damn near because he had his back and was doing that much damage. Anyway, we get
for
to
sure,
round
bro.
three. Sabatini starts out on fire again. I thought he looked great to start the round. Gets the takedown, and I wrote at that point, once he had the control on the ground, if Laramie didn't get up and just start throwing haymakers and connect, it was literally written in stone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought after that second round, you know, Sabatini was pretty much firmly in control after that close first round. And yeah, he got the trip takedown, the ground and pound. Round three, 10-9 Sabatini, like pretty easy. No, the judges like Sabatini even more than I did. And they agreed with you. So they scored, all three judges agreed with you. They 30-26 unanimous times three, which probably means I was wrong giving that first round to Laramie. I think I let the money line kind of factor in, and I was like, so shocked at like how good Laramie performed. Maybe I gave him a little extra juice, but the first round was fun. You can't necessarily say. I think the fact that because regardless of how you scored it, Sabatini overcame some adversity in the first round, and I think that's impressive, especially for a guy that's coming in pretty high, minus 525 favorite. He overcame the adversity and then dominantly won the next two rounds. A lot of nice things to say about Sabatini, and I thought TJ Laramie, you know, gave him a tough night out.
Yeah, so okay, I think the bigger picture that we need to talk about here that we disagreed on before, obviously, is we both knew Laramie won the fight. You had it 29-27. I had it 30-26.
Sabatini.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Sabatini. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. So we both agree Sabatini won the fight. You had it 29-27. I had it 30-26. Bigger point I think here being is you think Sabatini's close to the rankings at 145 or any like you think one fight away from getting that shot? Like
so
what do you think? Because I don't think he's those guys yet. Oops.
You're good, bro. You're good. So the reason why I think he's going to get, you know how Khabib and DC were always talking about Islam and got in his boost? Well, Sabatini has Felder barking his praises. And Felder's not just any former fighter. He has a microphone. He's a guy who I think the promotion values. And so obviously not.
I think he trains with him. Think he trains with him.
No, he does. But I mean, Khabib and DC train with Islam. So I mean, obviously, like.
Yeah, but that's one of the pushes we disagree with.
But so I'm not saying should here. I'm saying will here. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
That's the argument that I'm making. That Felder's cosign will get him any benefit of the doubts that he needs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe edge him over a couple guys that are.
Hell, it kind of worked for Sean. It kind of worked for Sean Brady to an extent. Now Sean Brady's proven himself at this point, but in the start,
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like having Felder in your corner, singing your praises, promoting you, you know, giving you benefits of the doubt, like winning people over, convincing. I think it goes a long way. Now you can argue right, wrong, or indifferent. That's another podcast. Like my prediction is not maybe what should happen, but what I think probably will happen.
So in that mindset, let's just take that approach. You think he's anywhere near Topuria or Well, not Topuria, take him out. But Burgos, Evloev, Barboza, or Sadiq Yusuf?
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Yeah. No, I do. Like all those names you just said.
I think Burgos and Barboza are fun fights. I think Evloev eats him up, and if Topuria was still at 45, Topuria would eat him up.
I think Topuria. Oh, you're right. Topuria moved up, which that's probably why he'd eat him up because he's bigger. And then, and then as far as Evloev, I'm high on Evloev. Like I think Evloev beats him like a couple of the top 5 guys, top 10 guys. Like I think Evloev's got like a bright future. So I don't even think that's like disagreeing. Like I think you can say Pat Sabatini's in the top 15 and Pat Sabatini would lose to Evloev and both be true statements. So like, but I'm really high on Evloev, like really high. So
you think Sabatini beats Shane Burgos?
I think he could beat Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos has some L's, bro. Like I mean, we love him.
I'm just saying fight style.
No, I feel you. It's a tough fight. It's not a slam dunk, but that's what you get when you get to the top, and you don't get slam dunks unless like Shemaev versus Jangling. Like. It's rare. Usually when a guy cracks the top 15, it's against a guy who could definitely beat him. And he proves us wrong. That's what that is. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I get your point. Like, it's not like a slam dunk like Shemaev, like, oh, he's clearly better than these back-end guys. But I think he's right. Or like a Sadiq Yusuf. Like, I think you can mix it up with Sadiq Yusuf. I think he could beat Sadiq. Now, could Sadiq Yusuf beat him? For sure. But that's how I feel about almost every name you listed, except for Evloev. But I feel Evloev could say that about the top 5 guys. Like, is he going to beat him? Maybe not, but could he? Hell yeah. You know what I mean?
Like Evloev has like a run against Josh Emmett. Maybe even Chan Sung Jung. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. And like the Iges of the world, and for sure. So like I think Evloev's a step above every other name you just listed. But of those other names not named Evloev, I think Pat Sabatini's right there with him, gives him tough fights. Maybe he wins, maybe he doesn't, but I don't think he gets outclassed or just like those are uncompetitive matches or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. I mean, hell, you want to keep it pushing to this next fight? Because
one last fun fact that kind of supports my argument: that's 6 in a row for Sabatini, dog. Now I think a lot of those are outside of the UFC, but still 6 in a row. That's nothing to sneeze at.
I mean, good run.
This fight's fucking sick. This next one.
Yeah. So Mayra Bueno Silva and what is it? Yan
Wu Yanan.
Wu Yanan. I was about to say Yan Wu Nan. It's Wu Yanan.
Wu Yanan. Yes.
Sorry, I almost had some dyslexia right there. Sabatini 4-0 in the UFC, by the way.
So yeah, I mean that's nothing to sneeze at, man. I think he's right there.
Definitely agree with that. So yeah, do you want to go ahead and introduce the odds on these women this next fight?
Yeah. So we got Wu Yanan plus 400, Mayra Bueno Silva minus 550. A lot of big money lines on this card, which was probably another reason why I wasn't that excited for it. It's like, oh, you're telling me that not only are the names I don't really care about, but you're telling me that these fights aren't going to be very competitive. Oh, joy, I can't wait to watch them. Now, this fight ended up being very competitive. Like I said,
I was so surprised by this fight, to be quite honest with you, man.
Yeah, this was Mayra Bueno Silva's debut. I think debut at bantamweight. If it's not her debut, she had a run at flyweight before this. She's moving up from flyweight to bantamweight.
Yes.
And so that's always interesting little factor there. And then Wu Yanan's known for being like super inactive. She fights like once a year. So it's always like, I think the money line is pretty – I think the money line is pretty fat, but, I mean, also I kind of understood where they're coming from. Like, Wu Yanan didn't really have anybody excited about her, like, coming into this one,
I honestly felt the exact same way. Like, I didn't know what kind of a challenge Wu Yanan was even going to really present for Mayra Bueno Silva here, because I thought about Bueno Silva being really good Thai boxer and then having pretty solid ground skills. Not the best, but pretty solid ground skills,
Yeah.
Now, granted, moving up up in weight, I didn't know how that would affect it, but I thought 25 to 35 can't be that big of a difference. I know it's a difference, but it's not 55 to 70. It's not 70 to 85. You know what I mean? It's not those jumps.
Exactly, and like the women's weight class jumps,
and she's a taller woman. So
I seem to not factor it in as much when a woman changes weight classes as a man. Maybe that's right.
Well, I feel like when Conor went 45, 55, I was like, okay, well. That just made sense. I see a lot of guys that do the 40, or like when Aldo went down to 35, like I don't really even think about that stuff. 10 pounds, I don't even think about that. Unless you're literally like I know for a fact Connor could never go to 35. You know what I mean? Because he was literally dying to make 45.
Well, and I guess that's also my point is that I guess all the women's weight classes are 10 pounds apart. So, yeah, I guess
each one is 10.
Thing. Yeah, for sure.
That's a fair way to say it, actually. I didn't think about it that way, but that is the most fair way to say it. So with all that being said.
Yeah, how did you score round one?
I had run one to Bueno Silva, but I thought it was close, man. Like, I thought that was a really close round that you really could have gone almost either way with. Now, I thought she landed the more impactful strikes, so that was why I went that way. I thought strike numbers were close, but impact was – yeah, and she led the dance, absolutely.
Exactly. So, like, I don't have the word close in my notes, but I also get what you mean when you say it was close because, like, I had to write in my notes. I had to give some credit to Wu Yanan. Because, like, yeah, I had, 10-9 Myra Buena Silva. She got the knockdown. She got the calf kicks, the power, the pressure. Yeah, I thought she won the round. But, like, I had to note down that, like, Yanan had good movement and good volume and, like, was making it competitive and was finding success. Like, because you can't accurately describe the round without, like, describing Wu Yanan's success. Because she was having success, just not more success than Buena Silva, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's like both girls were doing really good things in the fight, but Buena Silva was getting the better of the exchange and the fight as a whole, if that makes sense, right? Because both girls wanted to keep it striking. They were just different martial arts styles. So it was going to be like who could impose their style more effectively.
For sure, man. And no, I thought round two was closer than round one. Like, I actually do have the word close in my notes from round two.
Super close. So much so that I scored it to Wu Yanan. But I almost wondered if I was right.
Wow. So I scored it to Buena Silva. I thought that, she had good success in the clinch, and I thought that Kimura attempt was fucking close as shit, which credit to Wu Yanan, close but no cigar. Now, I thought round two was Wu Yanan's best round, so I'm aiming not her best round, but I thought round two was better than round one from Yanan, and I thought she did good in round one. So I get what you're saying when you gave round two to Wu Yanan because she had a lot of success.
We had the three most sketchy judges of all time on this fight. By the way, I just saw that it's Chris Bell, Adelaide Bird, Junichiro Kamijo.
Oh wow, that is
none of them scored the fight the same way. Even the 229-28s.
Wow, which just illustrates why we don't like those judges for sure. So yeah, I had it round two super close. I maybe you could argue I gave too much weight to that Kimura attempt. I honestly thought she was going to tap any.
But it was crazy because like she was just operating with her arm literally almost touching the back of her head.
Yeah, so it's like, how do you score that? Like,
I scored it as like it seemed like it wasn't dangerous.
Exactly, but she
had it locked and it wasn't tapping her. So like I'm saying like, okay, you got your sub, but hey, it didn't sub her, so you might as well let go because now I'm awarding you no points.
And then did win some scrambles and ended up in top position. Like, well, that's a close round. Like you may have swayed me, but like I did give it to Buena Silva.
Well, only one judge saw that round for her. Two judges saw. Well, all these judges suck, so it doesn't matter. But, but so pushing to round three, I have it 19-19. You have it 20-19 or 20-18. How do you see round three? Because I thought round three was close too.
See, I actually thought round three was Yanan's best round. I didn't even have it that close. I thought this maybe have been the least close round of the whole fight, in my opinion. Because
see, what's weird is only one judge gave Yanan round three.
That blows my mind. Like, that actually blows my mind. Like, on my scorecard, this was my most confident round. Like, the other two rounds, I could be convinced one way or the other. The third round, I had it, like, convincingly Yanan. The volume, the pace, the pressure. And this is also, like, the optic. Buena Silva, the whole first two rounds was moving forward for the most part. And then in round three, Wu Yanan was moving forward. And to me, maybe
I thought Silva was hitting her with. I thought Yanan was moving into strikes, which is hurting her more in round three. I thought she just had to go for it because she felt like she might have been down two.
I think that part I agree with. I think she went for it, but in my opinion, like it worked. Like it paid off. Not as far as winning the fight, but as far as winning the round. So I guess it was closer than I remember it being. I didn't, I don't really have a bias. I didn't really care too much who won. Not a big fan of either one. I saw round three pretty clear for Yanan, but it's subjective 100%. And
Hey, like I
You
said,
know?
we split 2 and 3, but we get the same scorecard, 29-28 for Bueno Silva.
Yes, and the right girl won, which with
I
these
think
judges,
that's what's
that's a
important too.
miracle.
I think
Yeah,
that's what's important too with these judges, like the fact that the right person won in a storm of what would look like fuckery. I'm happy. I'm happy for Mayra
exactly,
Bueno Silva.
exactly, bro. I couldn't agree more. And also as far as my takeaways from Buena Silva's like transition to bantamweight, her cardio seemed a little suspect, but her power translates. So it's kind of a little give and take there, in my opinion. As far as her going up to bantamweight. Now this
Yeah.
fight did win fight of the night. And like I said, given the money line, man, Wuyanon gave Mayra Buena Silva like all she wanted. You know what I mean? This fight was close, indicated by the bonus. You know, Wuyanon, I don't think has anything to like hang your head about. She performed great.
Hell, it was closer than the next 3 fights, and the next 3 fights had way closer odds.
Exactly. And speaking of the next fight, I mean, this is I literally have a spoon this week. I'm just gonna eat my shit.
This
Actual
was
real
the
spoon.
one. This
Yeah.
was the one where he lost his leg to an IED.
Yep, I did, man. The parlay busted on this one, man. We got Miguel Baeza minus 160. I potentially paid a minus 170 price.
Late money on Fiala. Fiala you.
Andre Fiallo make it, or not his debut, but plus 140 underdog, and fighting in the welterweight division. And man, I mean,
Hey,
Fiallo,
to your credit, I thought Baeza was a lock in this fight.
easy money.
Like when you sent me the parlay, I was like, this heat.
I thought so too, man. I mean, that's what makes this sport so hard to bet. Makes it so fun to watch. Yeah, Baeza, but Baeza's this guy, right? God damn it, is he a frustrating guy? Because he has 2
He's so
losses coming
good,
into this,
except
so he's on a 2L streak.
he just makes dumb mistakes. Like he makes young man's mistakes.
He's so good. Like like it's obvious the talent's there, the athleticism's
Honestly,
there,
I
the
mean,
cardio's there.
man, for
Fuck.
3.5 minutes of this round, he was there. Like I thought he
No,
was
I was
winning.
feeling good, man. I
I
was
thought
feeling good.
Fiallo was just throwing at air because he was whiffing uppercuts, he was whiffing hooks, he would land a jab and miss the overhand. Like Baeza was in and out, good hip action with his like counters. Like I was all in, and then he started getting tagged, and then his nose got broken. I think because he kept playing with his nose, and I was like, bro, you gotta quit fucking with your nose. And he did not.
Yes.
He did not. And then he went to the clinch. And he decided I can eat uppercuts, and no, he couldn't because he ate 4 and was on fucking Queer Street.
That's what was so fucking weird about this. Fiallo just grabs his head in like a one-arm tie clinch. And I mean, it's like a hockey fight. It wasn't high level like martial arts.
No,
it was a hockey fight.
it was
He
literally
grabbed
just
his head.
boom, boom, boom.
And Baeza, it was almost like he was waiting for him to stop. Isn't that what it looked like? It's
It looked like he like hit the first one, and Baeza was like, "Cool, that's one. I can eat one." The second one hit, and he was like, "Oh, and the third one hit, and he was like, "Oh." And it was like, bro, why did you not just move from the first one?
He didn't defend. He didn't try to move.
And they weren't that fast. It wasn't like a 1, 2, 3. It was the same hand 3 times.
Yeah, it literally looked like a hockey player. Like it didn't even look like a high level mixed martial art. Which that's going to sound like shade towards Fiallo and like a salty guy that lost a bet. But I'm just saying, like it wasn't some high level technique that you shouldn't like know a defense for. You know what I'm saying? Like it was. Like he did it it looked to me as if he thought that just eventually Fiallo was going to stop hitting him in the face. And he just didn't.
Credit to Fiallo because once he had him hurt, he went in for the kill like a savage, finished him, and earned that $50K that I think he deserved.
Yeah, I mean, this fight lasted 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Fiallo got him out of there in the first round. Like you said, yeah, Miguel Baeza probably won about 3.5 minutes of that fight.
It's crazy.
That doesn't fucking matter to him, his record, or my parlay. And speaking of his record, man, this is weird. 3 L's in a row. Like, what the fuck?
And he was undefeated before those L's. Like, he's 10-3, started in the UFC at 8-0. Is now 2-3 in the UFC, 8-10-3. Shows you how good the UFC is, man.
Shows you how good the UFC is, and he's just missing. I don't know if he needs to change camps or change weight classes.
He needs to be more defensive striking sound. Like he needs to make sure that before he throws strikes, because they're clean and they're pretty, but you can't be getting counter-struck to throw those strikes.
No, yeah.
Maybe head move. It's a lot of defensive striking that he needs to work on.
You're right. You're right. It is the defense because the offense is there, man. It's like back.
He just is always getting clipped by a big shot and then losing the fight after getting clipped.
Texas Tech of the UFC. Like, his offense is phenomenal. He's going to lose games 65-55 and shit. But seriously, man, definitely not unbiased on my commentary to this fight because this was the parlay buster. But at the same time, probably my last time betting against Fiallo. That guy's a goddamn savage.
Yeah, I like the way Fiallo fights. So he's tough because he ate some hard shots and just kept throwing bombs.
No, just always in it. He's going to be one of those guys that's just always in it, like until he ain't. Like he didn't show any like super high level stuff, but he just heart and balls and yeah, man. Fiallo, no negative things to say about him really at all. Like I said, I mean, I also don't know if he like made me a believer. I think it makes me question Baeza more than it makes me think. Like, do you think Fiallo goes on some kind of run here and like is like a real guy? I didn't see that.
No, but I thought that about Baeza at the start, so it's weird. Like, we'll see. Fiallo's going to troll around the middle of the division, I think, for 2 or 3 more fights for sure. But if he puts together 2 or 3 more, he's going to have he's going to get a push. Baeza, on the other hand, Baeza needs to win a fight.
And then speaking of push, man, the push of all.
Hey, yeah, what the hell is with this co-main event, man? I had huge problems with this. I don't know if you did card placement wise, but I mean, do you want me to say their names because they're wild?
Yeah, and then we'll talk about DC's pronunciation of the names. Because I thought he kept saying Kyle all night, but it's Kyle. But it sounded
it's Kyle Borralho.
Yes, making his debut.
Yeah, minus 105 against Gaji Omar Gaziev at plus 150 or minus 115. So essentially a pick 'em. Slight favorite to Gaji. I'm just going to call him Gaji. I'm not going to say that a whole lot. Omar Gaziev. I'm not going to say all that.
Yep, I feel you.
Anyway, 185. 185. Now, when you saw Kyle, did you think immediately, is that Costa's brother?
He looked
free spirit on the neck. Are you kidding me?
The internet kept calling him Prison Costa.
Well, yeah, he was though. And then he put the glasses on after the fight. Like after it was over, you see him like go to his corner, put glasses on. You're like, what the hell is that?
Like oh my god, he's Charles Oliveira too. But like,
it makes no sense.
No, he did look
also,
a lot like
Brazilians just put in contacts, or also don't wear your glasses after the fight. You can see your way to the locker room. It's not. Anyway, so this fight
also 5'10" guy in the middleweight division.
Weird.
Which is kind of, but he's not like huge. It's weird. It makes you wonder if he can make 170 because he's not huge. He's not like jacked. And he's not built like Paulo Costa.
So this is the other fight where we're going to get into the refs and a technical unanimous decision.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I guess before we get there, we should definitely say how we score rounds 1 and 2, which I think are obvious.
And also, I got to mention that Omar Gaziev is undefeated, 13-0 coming into this one. So that's as far as let's just revisit the card placement real quick. I went into it with an open mind. My knee-jerk reaction was like, obviously, 2 debutants shouldn't be the co-main. Like, duh. Like, why does that even need to be said? But then I was like, well, like, I went into it with an open mind. Like, maybe these are the next guys, like, for real. Like, maybe this is going to be awesome. Like, maybe this is like an Alex Pereira type situation.
But is that the feeling you walked away with?
No.
Okay.
So I'm coming full circle here. Like, I started off like, hell no. Went to an open mind and then ended up right back at hell no.
Yeah, like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I think, honestly, going round by round might not be necessary unless there's any ones you disagree with. I think one guy was winning every round until there was a clear mistake.
Yes, you're right. This fight was all Barajo, which I didn't necessarily see coming. I honestly thought Omar Gaziev was going to come in and, especially over the smaller guy, just, the Dagestani. I thought, we know how this story ends. Like, a small Brazilian against the Dagestani. I thought I knew how this was going to go, and I was wrong. It was all Barajo. And it was dope because sometimes I don't know, jiu-jitsu hasn't necessarily been represented well in MMA. in a little while. Charles Oliveira does a good job, but
For
what I'm
sure.
getting at is like Baralio's sweep reversal in round one.
Dude,
Like,
in round one, when he got taken down and immediately swept reversed him.
like it reminded me of how effective jiu-jitsu can be. You know what I'm
Because it
saying?
allowed
Like
him to succeed in that round much more so than the other way around.
exactly, man. Like we hadn't seen jiu-jitsu like neutralize and reverse Dagestani wrestling that effectively.
It was
But
saucy though.
yeah, it jumped off the
And then
page.
you could tell it kind of put Omar Gaziev on his back foot, where like he was kind of like uncertain as to if he wanted to grapple that way with him.
Yeah, and then round two. See, this is where bothered me about round two is Baralio had Omar Gaziev's back for like 4 minutes, but
Did nothing with it.
did nothing with it at all. Like I
Like
thought he should have
nothing.
definitely tried to go for the finish for sure. Like he
I
he
mean,
wasn't
10-9, no question, because there was no dominance. It was the most dominant position you can have without any dominant action.
yes, and that was frustrating, especially a guy making his debut, a guy with a lot of hype. You know what I
It's
mean?
tough that that's going to be the main event, right?
You come in, but
Like, how do you have two guys that are essentially? Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, co-main. I apologize. How do you have two guys that are making their debut that aren't killers? Like he clearly doesn't have that killer instinct right
but
there.
I think they thought they were both killers, and I think they got proven that neither one was. Like in my opinion, you know what I'm saying?
You're probably
And
right
then
about that.
and then round three. Well, first, it starts off. Round three was a shit show from the jump because it starts off with a low blow. I think that was Omar Gadzhiev that did
Yeah,
that
Omar
low
Gaziev
blow.
hit a low blow on
So the ref, and then
Baralho.
the ref stops, pauses the action. It ends up not being the end of the world, not too big of a deal. And then, like a minute or so later, we get another illegal knee. The fight to be stopped, but that did not result in a DQ. For the second time in the same card.
I don't understand. Okay, I want to get into. Do I want to get into this again? Because I can't tell, right? Like, is this the same? It's not the same scenario as earlier in the card, but it's the same. It is for the technical decision, but it's more so the same scenario as Aljo and Jan. Is it not? How is this not the same thing?
Because
How
Omar
is this
Gadzhiev,
not him hitting him with a knee in the face? I mean, you could argue that Sterling had won 2 rounds out of the 3, and if they'd gone to the cards, maybe he wins that anyway. But I don't understand how it's a knee to the head, same as Jan Sterling. It's obviously intentional. It's obviously just. I mean, I guess it's hand down versus knee down. Sure.
yeah, but it was obvious. Like it wasn't even close to being up. Like his hand was so obviously on the ground.
Yeah,
Now
well,
you can,
so was Aljamain Sterling's knee.
yes, no, that's what I'm saying. This reminds me much more of Aljo and
That's what I'm saying. Is this is so
Jan.
similar to that? That how do we get a technical decision out of this? How is this not a DQ?
How is this not a DQ? Yeah, man, and I
That's
don't have a
essentially
good
where I'm at
answer
with it.
for you. I
And then
don't
you have
have a
old
good
weird,
answer.
and then you have old weird free spirit guy, obviously winning 29-27 after you take the point because he
Yeah.
won all the rounds. And it's like, does he deserve that win?
And then he was like, "Oh, give me a main event. I just want a co-main. Give me a main event." I'm like, "Dude, you can go fuck
Bro,
yourself
that guy
so
was
hard."
jail Paulo Costa all day. Like, he literally fought worse than Paulo Costa, looked like the shitty version of Paulo Costa, and said worse things on the mic.
No, like I'm seriously out on Baralio from like a fan's perspective, and kind of from like a, I mean, he's good, but I don't know like how good, especially at middleweight. Like once again, I know he's like the biggest middleweight ever, but I'm saying like, what the fuck does Vittori do to Baralio? That thing just destroys him. But like,
Yeah, it's honestly, man. This fight had a bad taste for me as
yeah,
a co-main.
oh,
Like, I was very upset at that.
all the way around. It shouldn't have been a co-main. It should have been a DQ.
This could
The
have
wrong
jerked the
man
main. This could have
won.
jerked the main card curtain. I'm
In the
okay with that.
prelims.
Once again, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is this
Like
was
Devin
nowhere near
Clark's
the
been a
top,
main event
right?
time, and he didn't necessarily deserve it, but he has. And
And that's in his resume. So what are we? You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I wasn't a fan of this fight. I wasn't a fan of this fight. The card placement. what
Also,
actually took
back-to-back
place.
185 fights when one is the top end of the division and one is debuts, that makes no sense. Why am I seeing
For,
debut level performers against each other right before the main event where I know it's high level? Because like I
well, the
may
main
not
event's
have it.
welter. Welter.
Oh yeah,
But
I'm an idiot. I'm an
no.
idiot. I wrote.
But regardless, wrong fucking card placement. Like there's like multiple reasons why, and for that reason, let's keep it pushing to this main event. Actually, I hate to do it. You mind introducing this one while I go take a quick pee break?
No, I got it all day. I got it all day. I'll even explain the first fight they had. So main event of this card, it's UFC Fight Night, Muhammad versus Luque. So for those of you tuning in that didn't realize that already, glad you made it this far. Appreciate you. It's welterweight, so 170. It's number 6, Bilal Muhammad at plus 155, fighting number 5, Vicente Luque at minus 180. They have fought before. I believe it was Muhammad's second fight in the UFC, if that's memory serves right. Very early in their career. Luque did win that fight by TKO. So Muhammad is trying to avenge that loss here. Now, the story of Muhammad's career, of course, as DC alluded to if you watched it live or have watched the fight cast, is that Muhammad, slipped up early in his career, but really since then has come on so strong, has been just an unstoppable force where guys don't want to fight him because he's just going straight through him. He got the fight with Leon Edwards when he was ranked 13 as a replacement. Leon poked him in the eye. However, Leon Edwards did dominate him for the first round of that. So there's questions. I think Muhammad's getting better every day. So with that in mind, Luque is also this destroyer of a force that's in the division. These are both like two guys that are outside the top 3, top 4 conversation that we always have at welterweight. So this is pretty much to determine who's going to get that next opportunity to crack the shield and get into the elite category of welterweight.
Yeah, this was for a seat at the table. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sure. For sure. And yeah, man, Luque did to Chiesa made me heap like so much respect on Luque's name. Like he
and Woodley. Like he's been dominant in a lot of his fights.
Exactly. And he's looked so good. He's so well rounded too, right? Like I kind of view him in my head as a striker, but then he's like this super high level black belt jiu-jitsu, can get takedowns. I mean, he's super
I always
well
forget
rounded.
He's so good at jiu-jitsu because I think his striking is so
Exactly.
good. To be quite honest.
No, me too. Exactly. And then Bilal, I'm not gonna lie, Bilal's one of these guys who it's like a blessing and a curse. Like his strength is that he's well rounded, probably wrestling heavy, but still well rounded. But his weakness is like when you think of Bilal Muhammad, nothing.
He's got nothing special.
Yeah,
he's got nothing special.
Yeah. But
now that's not to say he's
not
extremely good at everything else, but he is nothing special.
And like it's weird how it resonates in your brain, like in your mind's eye, because like you would think that that's like a compliment. Like as mixed martial artists, you should want it to like kind of all blend together into one kind of non-specialized skill set. But we just have this nostalgia in our head for like the specialized skill sets. Like, I don't know. But maybe it's better to be like Bilal.
Well, I mean, I already introduced the odds and the rankings and the history of them fighting. So if you want to dive into it, I thought that first round opened up essentially as kind of an even striking round until Bilal got a takedown with about 90 seconds or with about 2 minutes to go. Luque gets up with 30 seconds left, but really doesn't do anything after that. And so for me, it was like if that round was even on the feet and Bilal has 90 seconds of control and 1-for-1 on takedown attempts, clearly his round.
Completely agree on the scoring of the round. I will say how easy Luque was able to get up after we just watched Stephen Wonderboy Thompson like unable to get up was pretty goddamn impressive. And it kind of made me wonder. I was like, okay. So
I think Bilal doesn't want to get caught, though, trying to defend him getting up with some sort of slick transition to a submission. I'll be quite honest.
Yeah, because
Stephen Thompson doesn't have that. So it's almost like in Bilal's camp, and he's a super game plan kind of guy. You can tell from the way he fights. Like he is a super game plan kind of guy. Yeah. So with that in mind, like when I watch Bilal fight, what I see is Luque gets to a point where he's almost up, and for Bilal to contest it, he's gonna have to take risk. So he says, "I won't take that risk. You can be up. I'll get you down again. I'll beat you a different way."
Yeah,
I think that speaks to his well-roundedness.
And his solid game plans. Yes, I love that. That was a good breakdown for sure. But I gotta say, like, it just like how easy Luque was able to get up. Just kind of at the end of the first round, my mindset wasn't like, "Oh, Bilal got this in the bag." I was like, "Okay, Bilal got that round," but like it seems like Luque is going to be able to keep it standing or at least get back to his feet. So it was interesting to me. Like there was still intrigue.
No, I agree. I honestly, going into the second round, I thought Luque would make adjustments because his corner talked to him about, keep throwing the leg kicks, keep your distance, keep the footwork, throw 1-2s, needs you to throw a little more in combination. And if you keep the leg kick and move, he's not going to be able to get that takedown. Well, that seemed slightly effective once again through the second.
Yeah, much better leg kicks from Luque in round 2.
And then Bilal gets another takedown. 2 for 2 on takedowns. It's about the same time in the round. I believe, did he ride out the round? Or I think Luque got up again in round 2.
I think Luque got up again, but it was still.
But didn't do anything after. Like it was like the takedown of control. Once again, it was going to isolate this round for Bilal.
And then that's whenever I started to be like, okay, well, we've clearly established that Bilal can take him down whenever the hell he wants. And we know Bilal's got 5-round cardio. So it's like, I don't know. I started to feel pretty good about Bilal. Now, and for those that are wondering, this was the second leg of my parlay, and I didn't actually pick a fighter. I picked that this fight was going to go to the distance. So especially
great call.
So I was feeling good, and it ended up, it doesn't even spoil anything. This fight does go to the distance, so I hit that leg of the parlay. But yeah, we both had it 2018 Bilal after 2. And then how'd you see 3? I thought the tide started to turn a little bit in round 3.
Man, so I thought in round 3 that was the turning of the tide, or at least what would be the turning of the tide in the fight, right? Like,
yes.
I thought Luque won round 3, hands down. He started to kind of piece Bilal up.
Yeah,
looked like he was way more competent physically. Yeah, Bilal was getting like buzzed to where the point like he couldn't go for the takedowns the same way because like to enter while you're rocked like risked him getting finished. Like he could not fight his fight in the third round because Luque kept him on the back foot, which DC said at the very start of the first round is if you keep Bilal on his back foot, he will not win the fight. But if you let him pressure you, he will beat you.
Yes, and that was spot on, and that came to fruition. And yeah, you're right. And when I watched that third round, I was like, okay, here's that point in the round where the cream rises from the top. Because going into this, I did think the money line was appropriate. I did think Luque was a better fighter than Bilal Muhammad and a better athlete and just a more, physically dominant man. But, and so like whenever he won round 3 and in pretty convincing fashion and had Bilal hurt, I was like, oh, okay. So it just took him a while and he's going to start to kind of take over. But
now, let me ask you this, because here's the round I'm actually most interested to hear about. Round 4. It's the only round any of the judges disagreed on. Only one disagreed. His name's Chris Lee, so we already know he's probably wrong about it.
And it was the only round I have the word close written for in my notes for sure. So
I'm glad you say that because I actually wrote close as well. I thought Luque was ahead. Then Bilal got, I believe, another takedown in round 4. And I thought it was almost a difference of opinion of, like, do you value Bilal's control and ability to stay almost even on the feet even though he kind of got pieced up to start the round? How'd you see it?
I scored it for Bilal. I mean, because of the takedown.
Me too.
And Bilal's movement and like his striking defense was so much better in round 4 than it was in round 3, which is good because he needed it to be. And yeah, I mean, pretty much just the takedown. But once again, Luque was able to get back up from that takedown. So I mean, it's it wasn't the best round for Bilal, but I scored it. I gave it to him because of the takedown. Like I thought that like. He wanted to get the takedown. I thought Luque had made it clear that he wanted to keep it standing, and Bilal was able to get the takedown. I scored it for Bilal.
So the only reason I asked that, and it's important, is like I said, the one judge that did score it for Luque would then have the fight 39-39 or 38-38 going into the final round.
Tied up.
So it makes the 5th round way more important on that guy's scorecard for me and you and every other judge. It was 39-37. So, but Muhammad could have lost the 5th round, still won the fight. I thought he came out and finished the fight. Like, not finished, obviously, with the TKO where he sort of finished, but, like, I thought his effort was there. His 5-round cardio was very clear.
No,
I thought Muhammad won the 5th round. Like, I didn't think that was very much up for debate.
It might have been Muhammad's best round, which is what
That's
makes
what
him
I'm
a very dangerous fighter. Like, how many guys can have their best round in the 5th round?
Especially in the top end, like, if he's going to get a title shot and he's a 5-round fighter, that's the best thing you can be.
Yeah, man, for sure. I couldn't agree more. Because in the 5th round, he was more aggressive. So he got the takedown. And then, but he also took the back in that round, which he wasn't doing in the previous rounds. And then also he was letting the hands go way more in the 5th round. He was landing some nice straight punches. against the guy who we consider to be the better striker. So yeah, and then like I said, was the fresher man, had the better cardio. So yeah, I had it 4 rounds to 1 Bilal. 2 judges agreed with that. Like you said, the one judge gave Luque 2 rounds, which, whatever. The right man won. A unanimous decision.
Like I said, Saul D'Amato and Derek Cleary agreed with us 49-46. Chris Lee, the idiot, scored at 48-47. So
yeah,
for everyone at home, if you ever see Adelaide Bird or Chris Lee or Junichiro Kamijo on a card, be afraid.
Grain of salt too. Like take their score with a grain of salt with that when you look back on the fight.
Yeah, because they have very subjective values as to how they judge. Which I'm not saying that as a judge you shouldn't have subjective value, but also theirs is so subjective that it literally changes the way fights are scored.
For sure, man. Yeah, you can't just make up your own criteria. Now, Bilal Muhammad called out Colby Covington, which I absolutely love on so many levels. I would love to watch that fight. I think they have very similar styles. I think this may be one of the few guys that Colby can't out cardio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And neither guy really goes for submissions, but both guys loves to wrestle. I think that's a good fight. I love that Bilal knew he wasn't going to jump Chimaev for a title shot, so he didn't even try, and he didn't waste his call out. Colby Covington, I loved how he did it too. And he made some very valid, fact-based points. First he had some fun. He said, fight a real 170-pounder, because Colby called out Dustin Poirier, a 155-pounder. So he challenges the ego. He says, fight a real 70-pounder. But then he makes the point that, the only 70-pounders Colby's beaten has been Masvidal off hella losses and Woodley off hella losses. Factual statements. And I just thought he did both, because nobody likes a nerdy fact-based call out, but also nobody likes a kind of a blowhard, built on nothing, unrealistic call out. So he had some fun. He challenged the ego. He said, fight a real 70-pounder. You only fight 55-pounders. And then he also backed it up with the facts and the relevance and competitive architecture of the division. I thought he checked all the boxes, man.
Well, I agree. First of all, let me say I agree. What I would say, though, is that he is one of the main broadcasters on the UFC Tonight and stuff like that. So he should know the inner workings of how all of that media promotion works. I think he is highly adept at using the mic. I think for Chiesa, the same is true. All the fighters that get a job on the UFC broadcast, whether it be in the booth breaking down the prelims, whether it be breaking down just fight nights and stuff on the side for the show that airs off the actual Saturday night, whatever it is, all those guys have a slightly better fight IQ from what it seems. And when I say fight IQ, I mean in the octagon and out of the octagon.
Yeah,
the fight game. They understand the game. You know what I mean? And so Muhammad knows how to play it. He's good on the mic. He's never been bad on the mic. But I think he understood the situation right now, which is way more important, like you alluded to at the start. He knows Chimaev is getting that shot next.
Yeah.
There's no reason to challenge Chimaev. Chimaev's not going to fight him. Or Chimaev, however you want to say it. So the point being is Colby's looking for a fight, and if Chimaev's not going to fight him and just take the time to just get his shot, then Colby can use it as the perfect time to fight who will be the number 5 guy to say, look, and if he dogs him, look, I beat this guy up for 5 rounds. Give me my shot again. Whether it be Chimaev or Covington, or I'm sorry, Chimaev or Usman. I don't know. Right. But it's a great way for Covington to get back into the argument.
All right, so I guess the question is to you, put your matchmaker hat on. If it's up to you and you can do this from a fan or whatever perspective you want to do it from, what fight do you make for Colby? Do you give him Chimaev or do you give him Muhammad?
My God, are you serious? You're asking me as a matchmaker because I work for the UFC and I want the UFC to make money?
Well, I guess see, in my vision, you don't lose money either way, because if you're not giving Covington Chimaev, you're giving Chimaev the title shot. And that's going to be big too.
I think there's one way you make a lot more money.
Okay,
a lot more money.
Go ahead.
Which is Khamzat and Colby fight. Colby's going to stick a flag in the ground and say, that's a Russian, we're American. Have you not seen what the Russians are doing? He's going to animalize him. He's going to act like he's a Chechenian, like the Chechens are fighting as guerrillas in the war right now in Ukraine. He's going to be so political and just aggressive and such a piece of shit about it. It's going to sell. And it's ABC, the card they're targeting for them to fight next on this next big welterweight fight. So it's not a pay-per-view, so you don't have to sell views. You just need to have a story that gathers the public eye. And what's more gathering of the public eye than the war in Ukraine and Russia currently?
Okay, man. You know what? I also think that's probably my answer. But it also leaves a very unfortunate. Okay, so say that fight's booked and Bilal doesn't get Colby. What do you do, Bilal versus Gilbert
Bilal
Burns?
yeah, exactly right. Bilal gets either Burns or he gets Edwards or Usman. Well, not Usman because Usman gets the rematch. Assuming Edwards loses, I think Edwards Muhammad would make a lot of sense because they've already fought, had the eye
have
poke.
history.
Exactly. I think that's the easiest move, and then Muhammad gets into the top 3 and can then have his title shot without having to fight anyone else. Like the next fight for him is just wait for Leon to lose, fight Leon, you're good, you fight for a title.
What sucks about that scenario is that how inactive Leon is. You know what I mean? Like
it does suck, but you know what else I'll say? It's Muhammad's fault for not winning fights in a more dramatic fashion ever. He always wins in decision. So I can't up his stock by a shit ton ever. You don't get to go in the fast lane when you win decisions every fight.
And that's true. That's true, not just for him. But also, all right, do you buy into the narrative of like boring Bilal, like oh, Bilal's fighting? Like,
I don't think he's that boring. I don't think he's that boring. I enjoy his fights. But I'm just saying if you don't have finished potential, like he doesn't have a submission game on the ground. Like he'll wrestle you to the ground. He will not submit you. He'll just it's like Mark Coleman. Like it's not it's not the most entertaining, especially when you're not the hammer. Like he's not typically a hammer on the ground. Like when he's on top, he's kind of like working to get position in. Like his nickname is the bully, but it's by a small margin. You know what I mean? Like he wins a decision.
Yeah, man. It sucks because I'm caught on two sides here. Like I want to see good things happen for Bilal Muhammad, but
me too because I like him. I like him outside of the octagon. Like when he gets interviews, when he talks, when he speaks, like about other fighters, like I like him.
Yes, I want to see, but I can't. There's not really an argument I can make over
X's and O's, man.
Shemaev. I mean, you know, I like him more than Leon. Like I'm over Leon. Like Leon's, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed with Leon.
But how perfect is that if Leon loses and he has to deal with the punishment of Bilal over 5 while Bilal's gotten better and Leon's setting
But he was beating Bilal when they fought, but he has gotten better. And then
Bilal's gotten a lot better and Leon's been very inactive.
Like in a vacuum, I love Bilal Muhammad Gilbert Burns. I think that fight is fucking dope. But
so fun. But it's punishment to both those guys.
Both guys, he took it out of my mouth. It does nothing for either guy.
Doesn't make sense.
Like that's another fight where whoever loses, like the rankings just don't even change, or they swap by one, or you know what I mean? And it just.
I'm glad we both agree. And also, Shemaev has floated the idea of he doesn't want to fight Covington, and instead would fight Gilbert Burns again in a 5-round main event.
Then that opens the path for Muhammad Covington, which I think there's something to be, because I think Covington would do all that same shit you said about Chechens, but to Palestinians. Like,
yeah, he would.
Like,
he would.
Like terrorists, Hamas, all that shit. He would fucking go there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, it wouldn't be, but it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then I think you can still work that angle a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? But I think we all agree, Colby Shemaev, like, bigger is better. But I just want to see something good happen to Bilal. I guess regardless, because Burns lost. He's left holding the short end of the stick, but there's a reason. It's because he lost. I don't want to see Muhammad get the short end of the stick because he's coming off a win. And I saw a stats today that I really loved, and like if you want to make an argument for Bilal, is wins over current top 10 welterweights. He's the only top guy with 2. The other guy in the top, yes, that's a fact, including Usman, because Usman has a lot of his wins over Masvidal.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Masvidal ruins that stat for Colby. It ruins it for Usman. Shemaev, you know, he's only had 1 crack. He's 1 for 1.
True.
But Burns has you know, Burns hasn't been. He's done everything right. But yeah,
But he's hung out there for so long. Everyone else has
yeah.
been risen up to the top recently, and just they haven't all fought each other
And
yet.
it's a little bit of a lawyer ball argument because Bilal
Well,
Muhammad's
and like
wins are
Usman's beaten
Wonder
Masvidal
Boy
out twice.
and
Covington's beaten
Wonder
out
Boy,
Masvidal.
and we're
Wonder
including
Boy.
yeah, Wonder Boy, Luque, Maya. Those are good wins though. Like those are Bilal's last 3 wins: Maya, Luque, and Wonder Boy. Like out of everyone else with 3 wins, I mean, he has probably the most impressive wins out of that whole group, out of everybody.
But does he win them impressively? Are they impressive wins, or are the names impressive that he is winning the fights against?
Oh, that's a fact, but I feel like.
But I'm saying for marketing, that's what works against him, man. He cannot win a fight in dramatic fashion.
And that's why he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt or the push or the fast lane or the rocket ship, whatever analogy you want to put. Which it kind of sucks, but also
it sucks. It's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair, but life's not fair, and marketing is not fair, and it is what it is.
He's going to take the long route. Like, he may need 2 more wins to get a title.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He has to fight his way up into the top 3, and then maybe be the number 1 ranked guy to get to fight the title holder.
And I want to see Colby fight him because his point against Colby's true. Like Colby hasn't fought. I mean, Usman obviously has fought him twice, so that counts for a whole lot. But he hasn't beaten anybody. I mean, fuck. Who's the last guy Colby's beaten that is still good?
Who did he not beat? Oh, let me look.
He has
That's a good question.
Usman fights. He has the Woodley win.
I guess it was when he dogged Woodley.
Woodley was on like a 5-fight losing streak and has since gotten knocked out by a
I mean, he beat Masvidal and just dogged him hard.
Yeah, and Masvidal's on a losing streak too. Like a 3-fight losing streak.
I mean, I guess you know what I'll say for Colby? Listen to his last fights. Fought RDA, won. Fought Lawler, won. Fought Usman, lost.
Oh, we're in the 20s. You're going back to the teens.
That's 2018, 2019, 2019.
Yeah.
Woodley 2020 beats him KO. Okay. Loses to Usman 2021 in the rematch in what was a very close fight. Better fight than anyone's given Usman since his first fight.
I scored it for Colby, I think.
I did too.
Yeah,
we both did.
No, I feel you. It's a real.
And then he waxes Masvidal. Then he waxes Masvidal a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it's a real lawyer ball argument by Bilal, but it's true.
It's lawyer ball.
It's lawyer ball, but it's true though. Like it's a factual statement, and you can spin it and like use it because it's true. Man.
You know what? I hope he fights Colby because in a vacuum, Bilal gets absolutely picked apart by Colby. Colby is everything Bilal is, but way better at everything.
I agree with that.
That's gross for Bilal. He should not be doing that.
But I also think,
it's what he has to do. I get it.
Yeah, he has to do it, man. He's willing to do what he has to do, man. But hey, listen, end on a high note. Not our favorite card, but some moments there. And I'm glad we got to talk about them.
I feel like we made 14 fights be pretty fun.
Yeah, goddamn it, a lot more fun than they were to watch. But yeah, man. Right back next week, Andrade versus Lemos. Hopefully that's one of the cards where it's like it ends up being a banger, and we talk about how don't sleep on these cards because that's what I'm fingers crossed.
Last week of June, getting close to 100.
Hey, 100. We got to do something big. I don't know what. We got to figure something out. Maybe some.
If I make it right, we might be together in Reno.
That would be fucking sick. Let's go.
That's been my plan.
Okay, bro. I'm looking forward to that, man. Hey, appreciate it, man. Appreciate everybody that watched on Facebook Live. Go check us out on YouTube, Beefy Boys Breakdown. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, bro. I'll see you next week for Lemos Andrade.
Yes, sir.